Let's see who comes up in here. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? What's up, B Polly? Yeah. Errol Spence beat Ugas convincingly. I don't think he win that easy. Are you in Chicago? DJ Slatterbike, or they're listening to some damn house music right now? Damn, the Chicago house music. What up, Mac Drew the trucker? I gotta upload last night's episode of Sports. I'm not. Another sports thing. Mixcloud. Gotta upload that shit. Hell yeah, I watch every Errol Spence fight. Errol Spence is my favorite fighter. I think I've seen every single Errol Spence fight since 2014. I even went to his fight when he's out here in LA. What's up, Don Smith? When you do the raw cone. What's up, Nino Black? I used to do raw papers. I still got thousands of raw papers around here. But nowadays, I'm on hemp. I'm on the hemp blunts, man. The billionaire hemp wraps, these just burn so smooth. Gotta keep relighting them damn raw papers. Yeah, Blu-ray. They kept saying this was his first time with Blu-ray. This wasn't Errol Spence's first time at Blu-ray. He was with Blu-ray when he won the championship, but he left Blu-ray. It's good that he's back. No. Yeah, the last 4 fights. That's a new trainer. Yeah, he won the championship with Blu-ray. When Errol Spence is with Blu-ray, he's unbeatable. I did the clear papers one time before. They was dope. My homeboy gave me some clear papers. But Blu-ray, yeah. Errol was, man. One thing about Errol fights the fight that he needs to fight to win that fight. He knows how to switch his style up to win fights. Yeah. He better have, when he fight Bud Crawford, he better have Blu-ray. Because Errol was throwing some mean shots today. Like, he was throwing some hard shots today. Errol was throwing, hit the like button, y'all. Errol was doing some really hard shots. And he was consistent, too. He was throwing a lot of shots, too. And he stayed around for the whole fight. But what y'all want to talk about? He has some chicken links from the spot. Which spot off Slauson? The chicken link, Hoodies? The spot to get the chicken links from. If you're gonna grill chicken links yourself, you gotta go to the spot on Florence and Crenshaw. It's actually on Crenshaw. Right next to the gas, right next to the Arco on Crenshaw. Just north of Florence on the east side of the street. It's a black-owned spot. That brother been there for a long time. That's where you go to get your chicken links. That's where you go to get your chicken links. Yeah, I just, Bud had fought a good fight against Sean Porter. But Sean Porter, you can tell Sean Porter didn't train before that fight. Sean Porter was goddamn announcing other fights 2 weeks before his fight with Bud. Sean Porter looks checked out of boxing. He looks like he wants to be an entertainer, and I don't know why. Like, he needs to just go ahead and box another 5 years with that big ass face of his and make as much money as he can in the ring. I don't know what the fuck Sean Porter doing now. Nigga be dressed like a leprechaun. He said, "What's up about the Parks meeting, Crenshaw, Manchester?" I never been to that spot on Crenshaw, Manchester. He said, "What's the connection between the Detroit and the Bay Area?" I'm not for sure, but I think a lot of it had to do with the train lines. That northern train line that went up there from Detroit to the Bay. You know, a lot of black people came from Detroit to the Bay. And I've heard people tell their story. And of course, it was all centered around jobs. And maybe it's some of the jobs that were in Detroit open up another spot in the Bay. I don't know, but the Detroit and the Bay, they are a lot alike. They are. The Detroit and the Bay, they are a lot alike. I will say that. I don't know exactly what it is. I never focused on it. I need to maybe one day I'm gonna take some time and figure it out. Cause like a lot of people in LA came from Texas and Louisiana. But again, that has to do with the train lines. What's up, Great Black Shark? Yeah, it's a lot of culture in Detroit and the Bay too. I like the Bay's music scene, man. Have I been to the new comedy club in Bellflower? Nah, I haven't. I've been to the French Quarter a few times, but I keep saying I'm gonna go to that new comedy. I've been mentally checked out of comedy, honestly, the last 3 years. Mentally, I've been totally checked out of comedy. But every time I get called to do a show and I'm on stage, that's like the best fucking feeling on earth. Is being on stage for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just you and 200 people you never met before. And you start vibing out and having a conversation and cracking jokes. I love that stage, but I hate everything else that has to do with comedy. But one day I'm going to go to that spot. What's up, Markel Claiborne? Yeah, man, but today was a good day in sports. NBA playoffs all day, and I saw every game. And the fight, I love this weekend. This first weekend of the playoffs. Actually, the first 2 weeks of the NBA playoffs is always. I love this shit. What's up, Mark by Smith? You said you from Cali. You from Atlanta, Nino Black? You from Atlanta? I've been to Atlanta one time. I went to Atlanta one time back in like 2005, 2006. I think that's 2005 because I had just graduated college. I finished college the fall semester 2005. So the semester was over in December, like December 3rd. And I went to Atlanta like December 18th, like the week before Christmas. And I remember going to Atlanta. It was fun. And then I wanted some new shoes. So I went to the mall. And I went to the Lenox Square Mall. But I'm from LA. I didn't know the Lenox Square Mall was all fruity-de-boop. It was just a mall that looked cool. Man, I went to that Lenox Square Mall. I saw all these dudes holding hands. All these niggas in size 13 and 14 heels. Motherfuckers in dresses with their chest hair. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was with my homeboy. Neither of us knew because neither of us are from Atlanta. We were just out there just to sweep up on the chicks. I called the homegirl up. I was like, hey, I'm in this mall called the Lenox Square Mall. Is something wrong with this place? And she was like, man, if you don't get your ass out that mall, you down there with the feezies. And I was like, oh, shit, nigga. I got my shoes and I was out of there. But I didn't know the Lenox Square Mall was like that. I just ended up in the motherfucker. You said Lenox is hot? And you said you spent your winters in Chicago? That's backwards. Oh, summers and winters in Chicago. Okay. I'm about to say, if it's just winters in Chicago, that's fucked up. I never been to Chicago. Never been to Chicago. I want to go. I want to go back to Atlanta. Yeah, my first time in Atlanta was 2005. And I just remember, it was a club, because I remember it was a whole bunch of fucking peach trees. And there was a club back in the day called, I think it was 213, 205, some shit like that. It was a number. I went to that club. I remember I went to this strip club named, I don't know if it's still there, it's called is Body Tap still around? Yeah, 112 is what it was. Yep, that's what it was. Is Body Tap still around? I remember we went to we went to Body Tap. We just went on a random whim. And then we sitting in the strip club, and then we look up. Big Boy came. I think it was Big Boy's birthday or somebody in his crew. It was Big Boy, Sleepy Brown, all them outcast niggas, organized noise niggas. And they came and sat like right next to us. And this was like right around the time Idlewild came out, when we still trying to figure out if Outkast gonna get back together and do a tour for Love Below. And I just remember about 60 strippers coming out that door when Big Boy sat next to us. Nigga, that shit was the time of my life. Because I wasn't throwing shit on that stage. But all the rest of them niggas was. And we had like 60 pair of titties around us. That shit was really like the Players Club. I was like, man, thank heavens we accidentally chose the day that Big Boy was celebrating the shindig up here. But let me tell you something. That shit ruined my strip club experience. Because here in LA, the strip clubs are not like they are in Atlanta. After that night, I got back to LA and I never went to a strip club in LA again after going to Atlanta. I was like, you know what? My strip clubbing time in LA has come to an end. Not that I like strip clubs. I was never a big fan of strip clubs anyway, but shit, I was in Atlanta, I had to. Nigga, when I came back to LA, strip clubs were donezo. Yeah, stars and shit. Yeah, Barbie, yeah. And Stars really been whack after Stars had shut down though. They killed that man. That black man that owned them 3 clubs, First Kings, King Henry, and Stars. He randomly got shot in the drive-by on the freeway. What kind of shit? And they never found out who did it. They killed that black man. Ain't no real subject going on right now, Mel. Ain't no real subject. I'm talking about what the fuck, whatever y'all want to talk about. And you said the transplants are ruining the culture in Atlanta. Same thing in LA. The transplants are ruined. It's 2 people ruining cultures in LA. Transplants and LeBron James fans. Them weird ass niggas. Cause Laker fans, man, y'all don't know. Lakers fans hard on the team. The Lakers fans boo Shaq. Lakers fans boo Kobe. If you ain't playing the way Lakers fans think you should get played, you get booed and talked about. Now that these fucking bronsexuals are here, they're like, you're just hating, stop. I'm like, you fucking pussies. Why y'all defending a grown man? See, one thing about LA is a very hardworking city. You like, I see people across the country complaining about mortgages being over 300 grand and 500 grand. Nigga, you ain't been able to find a house for 300,000 in LA in over 20 years. Like, it's been like that here. So this is a hard-working ass city. If you're gonna live in LA, even if you're gonna live in the hood, you gotta have some bread. So niggas in LA got hustles. Like, you can't look at what's on paper. On paper, niggas in LA ain't making below the poverty line on paper. Nigga, but every nigga got at least 3 or 4 hustles out here. But these transplants come here. This is what happened. The transplants come to LA. They come with high hopes and dreams of being the next Denzel Washington or whatever actor. 5, 6 years later, they still working at Starbucks, and they turn bitter and mad and sad and angry, and then they become assholes towards everybody else. And then you come to LA all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed thinking you gonna make it one day, and then you run across that bitter motherfucker that's been in LA for about 8 or 9 years, who's now giving up their hopes and dreams of being a musician or an actor. Now they work at fucking the restaurant that you're at, serving your tables, and they're a dickhead. And you like, man, these LA people are mean. No, motherfucker, it's you niggas that don't belong here that are mean. One thing about LA, look, if you know you run across a real LA nigga when you walk down the street and they acknowledge you. See, in LA, when you see another man, especially if you see another black man, it's always eye contact and what's up, bruh? It's always love. You don't walk through LA and turn your nose up when you walk past people, because quiet as kept, people that walk around LA with turning their nose up at people, those be the ones getting their ass whooped and getting robbed. And they be like, oh man, LA dangerous. Don't go down to the hood. The hood dangerous. No, nigga, you was being a fucking weirdo and got checked. You don't walk past a set of men in LA without acknowledging them. It's always a brotherly kind of thing when black people see each other out here. We don't play that shit. Somebody on that put their head down or look the other way, we looking at this nigga like, who's this nigga's daddy? We got manners out here. We got manners in LA. I don't know what the median house is in LA. My sister should have had a house 5 years ago, but they gave her a loan amount. This is what they do. They don't officially redline no more. But if the houses in the area are going for $700,000, they'll approve your black ass for a loan for $590 or $630. Knowing good in the hell well you can't find a house for $630. That's the fuck they do out here. But last I checked, in the hood, like in the hood, I mean, where they still shooting and killing niggas over off like Normandy and Century, yeah, your house gonna run you about $890,000. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, real small. If you want to live in 60s hood off Crenshaw and 60th, if you want to, and it's still, trust me, it's still 60s hood. It's hood than a motherfucker. To live in 60s hood is gonna cost you about $1.2 million if you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. That's about 1,250 square feet, 1,300 square feet. You about to pay 1.2, and you're gonna be living in 60s hood. If you want a house, that's about what it's running in LA. So when people come around talking about LA people are fake or LA people do this, LA niggas ain't got time to be fake. We live in a real situation out here. I guess the reason why I didn't. I get the reason why I talk about it so much because I haven't heard one person in media that gets LA right. Well, Tariq gets LA right. Tariq's from here, so Tariq. Outside of Tariq, I ain't seen one person online when they talk about LA. Them niggas is wrong, wrong, wrong. And then they'll get somebody that'll call into the show that be just as fucking wrong. I mean, I live in LA. Like, no, you moved to LA about 10 years ago, motherfuckers. You're wrong, nigga. You're wrong. You're wrong. Yeah. He said Sydney is compromising at low interest rates. See, yeah, it's in Sydney. Yeah, Carlton Square in Briarwood, forget about that. Right by the Ford, they pushing black people out of Carlton Square in Briarwood like crazy right now. I know because my homeboy got the Briarwood Carlton Square plumbing contract. He the plumber for the whole condo complex, and he making bread right now. That nigga gotta be a millionaire with the money he making off Carlton Square. Yeah, I'm telling y'all. That's why that's why I honor my parents. I really do honor my parents. I have my grandparents left me. My granddad on my mom's side died when he was only 40 years old. He died back in 19. He wasn't even 40 yet. My granddad died in 1970, 11 years before I was born. And he had property that he left my mom that she still has. That's why I'll be like, man, it's a lot of them old people from LA. They did do right. A lot of them, that generation, they bought a lot of property. The problem is, they fucking kids they handed it to, they baby boomers slash generation, mostly Generation X, and baby boomer kids. All them motherfuckers got the properties and fought over it and sold the shit. But it's not because they weren't set up by the previous generation. I remember I used to work at the bank. I used to see this shit all the time. And when I worked at the bank for 5 years in Inglewood, from 2000 to 2005. I worked at Washington Mutual Bank. And I saw people coming in getting their parents' houses all the time. This is back when Inglewood was like 90% black. And these motherfuckers would pull the equity out, and then sell it. And I'd be like, you fucking idiots. They be like, we gonna move to Vegas. Now the niggas is in Vegas living in a fucking apartment. And mama's house that they sold for $500,000 back in 2005 is now going for $1.5 million. Fucking idiots. What's up, Born 360? Oh, you don't rock with your pops? Man, my heart goes out to you, man. But everybody, whatever it is you're going through, it's a necessary fight for you to get through to whatever your greatness is. I don't know why I was inspired to say that, but I was. Oh, you say when RZA died, when Nipsey died, you called RZA and Tariq? That's right, Great Black Shark. You right about that, about the myths. Man, when Nipsey died, I didn't go past that corner for like 2 months. It was just two, and I'm always on Crenshaw and Slauson. Like, Crenshaw and Slauson is a corner that I had to pass, especially back then. That's a corner, when Nipsey was alive, I passed Crenshaw and Slauson sometimes 3 to 4 times a day. When Nipsey got killed, I'm like, nope, I'm taking Van Ness. I'm taking 54th. I didn't go to Hoodies and none of that shit. It was too goddamn crowded. Too crowded. But Nipsey It's hard for me to play Nipsey. And I still don't go by, I still don't really go by the marathon. That's hard because I remember him when he first got out in the corner selling them CDs. I remember I would see him. He'd be on Nipsey. I would see Nipsey on that corner at the top of the hill, Overhill, Stocker, and La Brea, where those three streets intersect. Overhill, Stocker, and La Brea at the top of the hill. He'd be up there in that middle island selling his CDs. He'd also be on Slauson and Overhill a lot, and of course he'd be on Crenshaw and Slauson. But he'd always be off Slauson and Overhill, and I would see Nipsey on that corner selling CDs sometimes every day for years. Well, what seemed like every day. I would buy Nipsey CDs and not listen to him because I would just see him out there. So if he saw me, he'd be like, "Man, I got a new one." I'm like, "I got your last one." He'd be like, "No, I got a new one. And I'd be like, all right. And I would just buy the CD and throw it in my glove compartment. Because y'all know me, I'm a soul nigga. I like rap and hip hop. It's cool. I like rap. But shit, I'm more of a soul and jazz nigga myself. So, but I would buy this shit just to support the dude. I would see him. I would run across him all the time, either at Sashi Teriyaki House. If you're from LA, you know what I'm talking about. Simply Wholesome. I didn't go to Simply Wholesome that much because them niggas is expensive as fuck. But they got these vegan cookies that even a fat nigga like me I'll fuck them vegan cookies up. That's Simply Wholesome. If you've been to Simply Wholesome, shit, them vegan cookies, man. But I would see, so Nipsey was a normal for about 10 years. Maybe easily 10 years. Nipsey was just somebody I would see 3 or 4 times a week. And so, and we never kicked it. I'm not gonna act like I knew the I know a whole bunch of people who knew him. He went to high school with my wife's sister. They went to Hamilton together for a little bit. And I know everybody that he knows for the most part, but we never kicked it. But he was part of the neighborhood. You would see him all the time. So when he got that Victory Lap, and I saw him, get that deal and that Victory Lap album hit, that was just such a proud moment because it's like, damn, I remember this nigga on a corner. And I was sitting there looking like, who's this old fake ass Nipsey Russell? I'm like, man, like this nigga playing off Nipsey. I didn't want to give him a chance for that. I'll be stubborn like that sometimes. I didn't want to give his music a chance initially because I was like, who's this nigga playing off Nipsey Russell? I ain't about to listen to no nigga playing off no Nipsey Russell. Nipsey was talented. But he be out there hustling so hard. It's like, man, you gotta respect the grind. What's up, Quan? Quan, a.k.a. 43. Nigga say I'm addicted to blue cheese. Oh, yeah, our house on 11th Avenue, Slauson. Let's see what y'all talking about in here. What y'all talking about? It's the last song. Yeah, it's right, Nino. It's not. Yeah, it's just like you always got niggas trying to sell you CDs here in LA. I'm not sure it's like that in Atlanta because Atlanta y'all got the music on lock now, so I'm pretty sure y'all got it just as bad, if not worse, in Atlanta. Somebody always trying to sell you their CD. Well, not now so much. CDs are really done now, but 10 years ago when niggas still had CDs, it was always somebody selling a CD. And so I'd be like, man, I ain't trying to buy them. I'm over, nigga, what do I look like? I'm over here playing Anita Baker, god damn it. And I'm over here and now I'm about to put in your rap trap CD. Fuck, no, I'm not doing that. And this how Nipsey used to get me. I had like an 05, I had an Audi. Like back then, like in 04 or 05, I had like a 2004 Audi A4. And then in 07, I got myself an Audi A6. And I always had my sunroof open. LA is sunny from May to the end of October. So I always had my shit open. So I could never not talk to Nipsey when he was on that corner. It got so bad sometimes that I would close my sunroof. And I'd be like, why am I doing this shit? It's hot as fuck. I always had my shit open. Yeah. Anita don't have a best song, man. I like them all. I like a lot. Giving You the Best That I Got is a song that I like, but that song was written by Skip Scarborough. I remember I met Skip Scarborough because I used to play in a church band with his son. Skip Scarborough is one of the greatest songwriters ever. He wrote Love's Holiday by Earth, Wind & Fire. He wrote Love Ballad by LTD. I have never been so much. That song, that Stephen A. Smith looking nigga. He wrote Don't Ask My Neighbor by The Emotions. He wrote Love Changes by Kasif. I remember when he told me a story about Giving You the Best That I Got. He said he wrote that song back in like 1976. Around the same time he wrote Don't Ask My Neighbors by The Emotions. And he wrote that song for The Emotions. But the song, when they recorded it, it just didn't come out right. Then like they tried to record it with Denise Williams. It didn't come out right. He shot that song, Give You the Best That I Got, for like 10 years. And it never really fit with any artist. Then he said he gave the song to Anita Baker. And Anita Baker has a reputation of being a B. And it's not that she's a B. Anita just knows what she wants and how she wants it. And I've never worked with Anita Baker, but I've worked with musicians who have, a few musicians who have. And they all say Anita Baker is a type that, she's very direct and she knows exactly what she wants. So the story I heard from Skip, when he gave the song to Anita Baker, she basically was like, here, all right, thank you for the song, leave. And she reworked the whole song and turned it into something that turned into that hit. And that song ended up being one of her big smash hits. But yeah, Skip Scarborough was the original writer of that song. And that song was written with the emotions in mind. My favorite female group of all time, by the way, The Emotions. Best 3-part harmony in music history, if you ask me. Second best, Jones Girls. Another Anita Baker story. Do y'all know that Anita Baker was financed? She wouldn't have a career if it weren't for Freeway Rick. Y'all know that? There would be no Anita Baker if not for Freeway Rick Ross. Anita Baker she recorded the song in 1980 with a group. I already said the Jones Girls. Anita Baker recorded a song in 1979 with a group called Chapter 8. It was a song called I Just Want to Be Your Girl. I just want to be your just let me. I can't sing for shit. I just got the groove, nigga. But go look that song up. It's called I Just Want to Be Your Girl. I just want to be yours. It's by a group called Chapter 8. Chapter 8 was like in the late 70s, early 80s, you started getting like a lot of these producers out of Europe who would start like doing a lot of like soul type music, and they would hire a black soul singer to do it. And that's basically what Chapter 8 was. Same thing with Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross had this group called Change. And Change, it was a song Luther Vandross, because Luther Vandross got famous singing jingles. He sang a lot of TV commercial jingles back in the 70s. So Luther was in this group called Change. And they have a song called Stop, Stop, and Get Dun, 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 dun. A lot of people think that's Luther, but that's Luther with this group called Change. And Change was just like Chapter 8. It was like some European producers that put together music, and they would have black people sing over top of them that were unsigned. So back to my Anita Baker story. Anita Baker sang with Chapter 8, and then she kind of wandered around. She didn't really, get any good deals. I think she was signed to a label but didn't go anywhere. I'm not sure, but she kind of wandered around in the early 80s. But when it came time for her to record her demo, the demo that ended up getting her record deal, Freeway Rick Ross, is the person that paid for the demo. So never forget that, because Freeway Rick at the time, he owned that theater that's across the street from West Angeles on Crenshaw. Was that Crenshaw and 27th? I think that is. Just north of Jefferson, just south of Adams, right across the street from West Angeles. Freeway Rick used to own that theater. But music and the drug game have always played hand in hand. From day one. Music and the drug game has always gone hand in hand. That shit goes back to the fucking jazz days in New Orleans. Louis Armstrong was funded by the mafia. And they used to take half of his check every performance. What's up, Amir? Yeah, Spence beat up on Ugas. But yeah, I remember one day, I've told this story before. I remember when Empire first came out. I hated Empire. I never liked Empire. I never grew to like it. But I remember talking to my father-in-law about it. We was talking about Empire one day this is like the first season that it came out. And I was like, you know what? I was like, you know how I be. I was talking like, man, I just don't like all the stereotypes. That's why I can't really watch Empire. I don't like the stereotypes. And then he looked at me, he laughed. I was like, what you laughing at? He said, well, shit. He said, well, somebody down there at that show Empire worked in the music industry. He said, because that's a lot how I looked at Motown. Mind you, my father-in-law was one of the greatest music producers ever at Motown. He recorded so many hits, so he was there to see everything. So when he said Empire reminded him of Motown, I was like, damn, you don't think of it that way, because when you think of Motown, you think of Smokey Robinson and Tears of a Clown and all them corny-ass Four Tops dances and shit. You don't think of Empire, and this is before Empire got gay. Empire was always gay. This is like the first season of Empire when they was on that gangster shit. This is before the booty loving scenes came into Empire. The booty love shit came a little later. But this is that first season of Empire before all the dookie activities got cracking on that show, back when Empire was still gangster. But yeah, he was like, it wasn't, he said Empire, that shit wasn't that far off from Motown. But y'all know Motown came to LA. This is something my dad told me. My dad told me, like He remember reading about it back then. Like, the Mafia was really trying to come down on Motown in Detroit. That was part of the reason why Berry Gordy just upped and left and came to L.A. I'm not saying that's the whole reason why I came. He also came because the recording industry was just moving to L.A. in the late 60s out of Chicago. People don't understand, Chicago had the recording industry on lock in the 50s and the 60s. Most of your good music that came out in the 60s came out of Chicago. Motown was an aberration built up in Detroit. Chicago is where the music scene was in the 60s when it came to recording. But a lot of them Chicago places started to dry up and move to LA, and then so did Motown. But yeah, it's word, and again, this is allegedly, but it's word that, yeah, that Mafia was trying to get up in Motown's pockets, and Berry Gordy was like, nigga, fuck that. Nigga, we going to LA. Hey, Bismarck T, I'm gonna help you with that joke. If the Mafia owned 50% of my appetite, that means I'd eat 50% less. That means I'd probably lose weight. That's why that joke didn't land. Like, you aimed wrong on that joke. Now, try it again, and then if it's pointing in the right direction, we'll give you a laugh, brother. You said, I don't remember what. I'm over here trying to. Oh, y'all talking to each other. I'm all jumping to y'all. I didn't say Harlem Nights was the greatest black film ever. It's one of my favorite though. It is one of the greatest. It probably is the greatest black heist film because they won. But Harlem Nights, Coming to America, Life, I like all them movies equally as much. Boomerang, Distinguished Gentleman, Beverly Hills Cop, all them Eddie Murphy movies, Trading Places. I like all those movies equally. Which one am I watching? Shit, whichever one's on now. Yeah. Hey, Great Black Shark, do you ever watch us on Craig Flax? Black Shark, you ever watch Craig Flax? Yeah, man. I'm smoking 2 blunts tonight. We be clowning on Craig Facts. We be clowning. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. Yeah, Life is a classic. But Harlem Nights, but think about it. Most black films, black people don't win in the end. They don't like to let us win. Somebody always has to die. If black people do win, somebody has to die. Think about because in the mid 90s through the mid 2000s, they gave us a lot of films, black people. We had a really good run of films. You had that one genre remember Taye Diggs made every fucking movie. It'd be Taye Diggs and Sanaa Lathan, and was it Brown Sugar, and then The Best Man, and then that whole string of movies. That romantic comedy genre, that was cool. Like, those were cool films. Like, but when it came to like the other movies, any kind of a heist movie, any kind of thing where black folks was robbing some shit or doing something revolutionary, black people always had to die. And anytime black people had a movie where they did anything halfway revolutionary, if they did anything halfway slick, the black people had to die. Somebody had to die, or something happened at the end where motherfuckers go to jail. Eddie Murphy was like the only safe haven from that bullshit. When he gave us Harlem Nights, man, the motherfuckers outsmarted the white people and got away with it. You ain't seen that in a movie since. If you have, tell me the name of that movie. Where black people outsmarted white people without a white savior and won in the end, and everybody lived happily ever after. Nobody died. Name one movie since Harlem Nights where that's happened. You could think of hundreds of black movies, but you can't think of one where that was the outcome. Which reminds me, I gotta do my show dedicated. I've been thinking I gotta do a show dedicated to Eddie Murphy. I gotta do a show dedicated to Eddie Murphy. Like I did one back in December dedicated to Ice Cube, just showing him how much we appreciate him. I like doing shows like that from time to time, where we pull up in a live black person and we do a profile of how much they've done us and how well they done for us. Like last Sunday, I did one. I broke down Stevie Wonder and the messages and songs in the key of life. Get that on Mixcloud. Get that on Mixcloud and get it right now on Mixcloud. Get it on Mixcloud. On Monday, I'm going to do one dedicated. I'm either going to do Frankie Beverly and Maze or Earth and Fire. I'm going to do a whole show on Monday on Incense and Ashtrays dedicated to Earth and Fire. And I'm going to talk about the messages within their music and the hidden meanings and the gems. Because I keep telling y'all, the music from the 70s had life game. And if you pick up the game, you don't ever need to pick up a Bible. I'm telling you. So I'm doing a whole series on Incense and Ashtrays breaking down different artists and their music and the coded messages within their music. Thank you, Quan. You just watch Forever Purge. He said white people yelling that full-blooded Americans and Mexicans were the heroes. Ha ha ha. Okay, I'll give you a movie where everybody won. Nino Black brought up Ice Cube, but you brought up the wrong movie. Anaconda was cool. That was all about the Benjamins. All about the Benjamins with Ice Cube. But Ice Cube's another one. Ice Cube's another person that we always gotta honor. Ice Cube has done nothing but right for Black America his whole career. He said dead presidents scared you as a kid. Yeah, dead presidents, them niggas died. Yeah, we do be like 50 deep on Craig Facts. There'd be a lot of motherfuckers in there. What do I know about the ink spots? I don't know about no ink spots. I ain't got no tattoos. Nia Long went to my high school, Westchester. Well, before me, Nia Long went to Westchester at the same time Mimi went to Westchester. Nia Long, Mimi, and do y'all remember that chick that was in Class Act? Davita from Class Act? And she was also in Boys in the Hood. She was Ricky's girlfriend. She went to Westchester at that same time. And what's her name? What's her name? She just won. Her son just died. Just killed himself. What's her name? I'm drawing a blank. She was in 227. She was in Friday. You know the black actress I'm talking about. Her son just killed himself like a month ago. I'm just drawing a blank to her name. Regina King. They all went to Westchester at the same time. Like Mimi, Regina King, Nia Long. My high school always had the dopest chicks. What's up, Chris? Chris went to Palisades. Chris Neal went to Palisades. That's the school I was supposed to go to. Palisades bus stop was right across the street from my house. Well, the school me and Chris was supposed to go to was Dorsey. We were supposed to go to Dorsey High because that was the neighborhood we lived in. But we was like, nigga, hell nah. We grew up, because our elementary school was down the street from Dorsey. We used to have shootings at our elementary school all the fucking time. If they weren't shooting at our school, they was shooting at the apartments across the street or shooting at some niggas just getting, when Dorsey was just letting out of school. So niggas like me and Chris was traumatized. Our elementary school saw too many goddamn shootings after Dorsey High School let out. So high school, that nigga went to Palisades, I went to Westchester. No, Chris, I went to school with all black people. Westchester was like 97% black. You didn't mention all them, you didn't hear all them black people, all them black actors and actresses that went to the school I just named. Westchester was a nigga school. Now, Palisades had a lot of white people, but it had a lot of black people too. And it was funny too. Y'all remember Saint Nick, who was on Craig Facts this past Tuesday? We was having a conversation after the show, cause I had told them niggas on the show how it used to be at Westchester. All the Westchester was all the pretty niggas went to Westchester, cause you had like a lot of the pretty boys, and you had to dress right to go to Westchester, like you had to, or you'd be like me, have all the jokes, so would nobody even try you. Like, you know what I mean? But Westchester was like 97% black. And we pumped out all our best high school basketball players. Still pumping out high school basketball players. But nah, Westchester was a nigga school. But Westchester got you had the hood niggas, and you had the niggas from Ladera Heights and View Park, the niggas with money. It's like a lot of niggas with money went to Westchester, and it's like a blend of niggas with money and niggas with nothing. For real, for real. So, well, the Westchester niggas, when they took the bus, the Manchester bus, when we took them, I knew better. I was always a cool dude, so I never got fucked with. But we tell niggas, do not wear your Jordans on the bus. If you wear a Tommy Hilfiger, if you wear Nautica, Polo, all that shit in the late 90s, that's what was cracking in LA as far as clothes. Tommy Hilfiger, Nautica, Polo, those brands is what niggas was wearing back then. And so niggas was dressing real proper. You would see a nigga in a button-down Hilfiger shirt and some jeans, and that nigga pull out a gun and rob your ass in LA. That's how it was back then. But we told them niggas, don't wear that shit on the bus, because when you get to Inglewood High School, the Manchester and Market bus stop, them niggas gonna come in the back and take everything you got. Oh, give me them shoes, give me that watch, give me that chain. Oh, are you in a Hilfiger jacket, nigga? Give me that jacket. Oh, you got a Hilfiger shirt? Give me that shirt. And it was funny, so we was all talking to St. Nick, the brother that was on Craig Facts this past Tuesday after the show, and he was like, yeah, man, I was the one, he said, I used to be one. As soon as them Westchester niggas got off the bus, I'm holding the door open. And we just fell out laughing. And he was like, what? And they was like, this nigga DeJuan was telling us that story from the Westchester point of view. I looked at Nate, I was like, so you was the nigga holding the door open? He was like, yep. And I was like, shit, well, I want to thank you because y'all never fucked with me. y'all left me alone. I want to thank you. But I done seen y'all whoop many a nigga asses. It's crazy seeing somebody, shit, 25 years later. 25 years ago, that nigga was, St. Nick was getting niggas from Westchester for their J's. That was just a funny moment. Yep, yes, cross colors. You say little cast of Boys in the Hood. Hey, Chris, weren't we together? Chris, wasn't I with you when they was filming Boys in the Hood? Like we rode our bikes down to Crenshaw. Was that with you? I think I was with a few people on the bike. Chris, I think you were there when they were filming Boys in the Hood. And somebody was like, hey, they filming Boys in the Hood on Crenshaw. We got on our bikes and we rode down to that Wiener Schnitzel. I think you was with us, Chris. I thought, okay, yeah, you were there. I thought it was more than that, two of us. I thought it was a few of us. That shit was so goddamn long ago. Yeah. When they filmed that scene on Boys in the Hood, when they was on Crenshaw, and like remember that scene when when Ferris shot in the air and everybody scrambled? Well, we wasn't there for that. We was there way earlier that day because shit, me and Chris was young. Mom wasn't gonna let us be out at night on the bikes over there like that. But this was like during the day when they were still kind of like setting the stage or whatever. We rode our bikes down there and just like we didn't really see nothing. We just was looking at them like, yo, Ice Cube somewhere over there. We didn't get it. I didn't get a chance to see Ice Cube, but I was looking. Yeah, see, when I was on that side of town, I had to be at home at night. When I was at my grandmama's house on 58th and Broadway, shit, we used to play tag until like 1 in the morning. This when I was like 7. Said peace and blessings from Houston. Oh, Quan, Amir's on that shit. This nigga Amir Lasser be getting fucked up and getting on YouTube. It's like, it seems like anytime I go live late on a Saturday, anytime it's a late on a Saturday, Amir Lasser be over there blasted. What's up, Beanie Man? Man, I miss yeah, man, this nigga, this my nigga right there, Chris. Me and Chris in the chat room, Chris Neal, when we was like 12, 13, this is like just after the riots, because the riots was like 92. Like that's that summer after the riots, and then like for the next few years, we was like 11 and 12. We would get on our bikes and go to the beach. We would go to the Santa Monica Pier was a good. How many miles is that, Chris, down that bike path to get to the pier? About 15, 20 miles each way. Peace from Osbury Park. It was dope meeting her. Man, me and Chris used to get on that bike and go to the Santa Monica Pier. We do that shit real quick in the summertime. This nigga Nino Black is really looking up niggas from Boys in the Hood. I didn't know he got out. I remember he got killed. Yeah, killed. Yeah, 13 miles. Yeah, we used to go to. He said 13 miles and back. Yeah, so that's 26 miles. That's a damn. So we used to ride a marathon every time we went to the pier. Damn. And shit, when we got to we didn't just go to the pier and come back. We would, once we got to the pier, we still ride around and do shit up there in Santa Monica before we came back. Yeah. Shit. My bike got a nail in the tire. I just saw that shit. I was about to go do a bike ride today, but I got a big ass nail in my tire, and I got them 4-inch thick tires, and I don't have any more inner tubes. So I gotta take my shit to REI to get a new inner tube. Yeah, a lot of the niggas and boys in the hood died. Yeah, they did. Like your non-main actors, all them other niggas. I don't know if I'm gonna call it a curse, but they got a lot of authentic street dudes. And hey, LA would look, man. I be telling y'all, people don't. It be funny because the way I am, how calm I am, people don't really understand that I grew up in the worst era of LA. All that shit that Chicago got later and New York got later, that shit started in LA in the neighborhood I grew up in. Crack cocaine was something different. I grew up in the middle of all that shit. That shit was violent back then. 1988, the city of LA had like 4,000 murders. That shit was crazy. Like, me and Chris, when we were in elementary school, shit, when we get to school in the morning, the first conversation we have is, did you hear them gunshots last night? Me and Chris had way too many of them conversations in the 3rd grade. Shouldn't no fucking 3rd graders and 4th graders be having conversations about, do you think that was a Tech 9 or do you think that was a Uzi? Me and this nigga Chris in the chat room, we shouldn't have been having them fucking conversations in the 4th grade. I remember one day I missed school, and like I remember hearing some gunshots because I lived right down the street from the school. I missed school because I was sick, and I was home by myself. I was probably like 9 or 10, but my mom would leave me home because I was always hella responsible. And I was just sick and I usually walked to school, and I didn't go to school that day. And I remember hearing like a machine gun go off, and it sounded like it was at school. Then it's like the next day at school, I see Chris, and he's like, Dwan, did you hear them gunshots? I was like, yeah. He said, they were shooting here. They were shooting here. We had to get down. I was like, what? I'm like, man, I'm glad I wasn't at school that day. But I remember hearing the gunshots, but they were shooting up our elementary school, the fucking Bloods. Cause it was some nigga that worked on the yard that was from a different set. Them niggas ain't looking at a school full of kids. They see that nigga they want to shoot. That's the shit me and Chris grew up in. That's the shit me and Chris grew up in. That should not happen. It shouldn't be like that. Nigga, we were 9. We were like 10. It's like 91, so we were like 10. Should no fucking 10-year-olds grow up like that. Yeah. Am I going to the Pan-African Film Festival? I don't know. I don't be doing a lot of I don't know. I'll be doing live music concerts. Like if it's live music, I'm there. Usually if it's not live music, I'm in the house. I bet it is, Chris. I bet that shit did leave you level-headed. That's how Chicago summers were? Yeah, so, but I said all that to say that Boys in the Hood, I can't necessarily say I call it a curse because that was the conditions of L.A. L.A. was in war back then. Niggas could get guns. And this is back when drug dealers was making money. It used to be this one dude when we was kids at the same elementary school I'm telling y'all about, Coliseum Elementary. It used to be this dude that had like a Lamborghini Diablo. And he would drive, and he like every recess and lunch, he would drive his Lamborghini past the school, and we'd be all like, ooh. So back then, the drug dealers had like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and shit like that. That's the kind of money they was making back then. So if the money was like that, imagine what the violence was. Well, I feel you on the vacation thing. I ain't been on a vacation since I went to Texas. Since I went to Dallas. That was back in what, September? Usually I go on a vacation every 4 months. I've been trying to get to Lake Tahoe. I'm gonna get to Lake Tahoe probably like in June and spend like a week in Lake Tahoe. And take a lot of mushrooms with me. If I spend a week in Lake Tahoe, I'm taking at least 10 grams of shrooms with me. And I'm gonna shroom 2 days. The first day I get there and the day before I leave. How old were you when you first heard Wu-Tang? I don't remember how old I was. Wu-Tang never hit me like that. I appreciate Wu-Tang, and I really like Method and Red. But I like Wu-Tang to like Wu-Tang don't really spark any memories for me like that. When Wu-Tang was popping, I told y'all I'm different. When Wu-Tang was popping, I was into Max Roach and Charles Brown. I was into John Coltrane. I was into Earth, Wind & Fire. I was into James Brown. I was into Count Basie. That's what I was into in the mid-90s when I was 14, 13. I've always marched to a different beat, y'all. Now, it was like when it came to rap, I was at the time in the mid-90s, I was into Ice Cube, Snoop, Outkast, Nas, Ghetto Boy, Scarface, Too Short, Sugar Free. Sugar Free came a little bit later. But DJ Quick. That's what I was into. Slum Village. That's kind of what I was into on the rap side of the game. But outside of that, I was into anything Death Row. But outside of that, nigga, I was into Parliament Funkadelic, Slide and the Family Stone, music that came out fucking 10 years before I was born, 50 years before I was born. That's why when people be asking me about my music history, like what book did I read that from, I be like, I can't really point you to a book I could point you niggas to a book on certain things. I could point y'all to a book on certain things. But honestly, since I was 12, 13, I just would listen to the music and I would read the album liners and I would remember them. I remember the album liners and I would like look for interviews. Like I would go to the library and look for interviews on VHS tape for like my favorite artists so I could know more about them so I could become a better drummer because I was teaching myself how to play the drums. And so in me wanting to be the best drummer I can be, I listened to the best music I could find as far as music that was hard for me to play as a drummer so I could get good at it. And then as I started getting better as a drummer, I wanted to know more about these people I'm listening to. So I wanted to know more about JoJo White, Count Basie's drummer. So I would look up tapes on him. I would want to know more about Max Roach. I want to know more about Miles Davis because that's what I'm trying to play on the drums to become a better drummer. So that's where all my music history come from. I just was been super into this shit since I was 12. And my dad has always been somebody that likes documentaries. So me and my dad, that's how me and my dad were bonding as a kid. When I was a kid, me and my dad bonded around Laker games and documentaries. Other than that, he'd be like, man, get your ass out of here. I'm smoking this weed. Either that or I'd be out playing. I didn't want to be around him because I'd be out playing. But me and my dad bonded around two things, Laker games and documentaries. So my dad would be sitting around the house and he'd be, what up, man? My dad would be sitting around the house and he'd be watching documentaries on Motown. And like if it was a documentary on the Temptations, he'd get his VHS tape deck ready and record them hoes. And I would sit back with my dad when I was like 5, 6 years old and watch these documentaries on the Jackson 5 and documentaries on the Temptations, documentaries on James Brown. That's some shit my dad used to be really into. So my whole life, I remember just kicking it with my dad, watching whatever documentary he watching. Then I remember that shit. And I never thought, I honestly, y'all, I never in a million years thought I'd be using this information to talk on the fucking internet. This was all just so I can know more about what I do. I like knowing, like, if I do something, I like knowing the history of what I'm doing and everything about it. I only started talking about it because these fucking Jamaicans came in talking about their own hip hop. That's the only reason why I started talking about it. If them Jamaicans weren't running their mouth talking about they created hip hop, I never would have started talking about music like that. I would have talked about some things music, you know, but I wouldn't be doing no damn music tree right now. I wouldn't be getting ready to write a book on music if them Jamaicans just shut their fucking mouth and got in line. But since the Puerto Ricans, Fat Joe, Busta Rhymes, and all these weird-ass niggas want to come around claiming our shit, they woke up a fucking sleeping monster. That's what happened. That's right, Chris. You said your dad played the drums for Sly and the Family Stone? That's dope. That's dope. Oh yeah, Chris. Chris used to come drive by the house on his bike. I'll be in the drums like, nah, I ain't about to ride the bike today, man. I gotta practice my drums. Especially if I had a new song to play at church. If I had a new song to play at church that was kind of hard for me to play, man, I'd be in my garage shedding until I got that song right. I'm like, nah, I can't ride the bike today, bro. I got to play my drizzums. Yeah, but if them fucking... Yeah, you're right. Jamaicans don't even run reggae anymore. See, something you gotta realize, Dupreme, a lot of people getting shot were the people that live that life. LA wasn't, like, even though there's a lot of gunshots going on, nigga, we still have fun. We weren't this generation that's out there now that's in the house all the goddamn time. Like, that shit built in the resilience with us, with my generation. Me and Chris, we would hear the same gunshots because we lived a couple blocks apart. But that, we meet up the next day on our bikes and be like, man, you heard those gunshots? Be like, man. And you know what we do? We get on our fucking bike and ride to the beach. Look, don't ever, just because people went through a certain thing environmentally, don't think it was some all oppressive thing that just made us feel down and out. No, that shit built in resilience for us. It made us not scared of bullshit. You got people running around now, everywhere they look, they looking around all scared, looking over their shoulder. Man, I go in any neighborhood. We still would go outside. So, nah. Today Was a Good Day that was a song, that was art. That was a relative song. And I'm sure that song really did hit hard for people who are actual gang members. Because LA is a show me city. If you gang bang or if you perpetrate, somebody's going to check you and see what you about. That's just the environment of gang life. But if you're not a gang member, and if you don't perpetrate like you're a gang member, the stuff doesn't really come your way. Let me tell you how many times me and Chris got banged on in our neighborhood when we ride our bike. 0. Wasn't nobody coming out talking about, hey, nah, little blood, we gonna jump you on the set. Wasn't nobody jumping nobody on the set. Either you want to gang bang or you didn't want to gang bang. That was your fucking choice. Or if your brother was one, then you kind of had to, but that's your family, you know what I mean? But if you weren't about gang banging in LA, you didn't have to gang bang. We lived in the Blood neighborhood. We lived in BPS hood, T. Rogers hood. T. Rogers out of Chicago. The neighborhood that we lived in was BPS. That was his hood. That's where we grew up. And then when I be at my grandmother's house, I was in East Coast hood. Oh, yeah. You did. I remember that fight. Yeah. See, they never fucked with me because I used to play basketball Rancho Cienega. I was the fat nigga that could hoop. That's nothing the reason I got fucked with. I always had my basketball going down. I would shoot at... If Rancho was crowded, I would shoot over at Dorsey High while my mom walked around the track, and then I hooped at Rancho Cienega Park, and I hooped in their All-Star team too. So I was the fat nigga that could hoop. I went anywhere I wanted in LA. Where I wasn't because I knew not to be disrespectful. Look, I knew how to walk with a level of self-respect. My dad taught me. I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I have my dad. My dad raised me on this philosophy. My dad is respect is something that you automatically give because you give it to yourself first. You walk with a level of self-respect, and everywhere you go, you give respect automatically. Should no, should nobody have to earn your respect? You give it. Now, he would say, now once they come back to you in a disrespectful way and show that they ain't worth your respect, then now we got another situation to deal with. You ain't gonna respect nobody that ain't worth your respect. He's like, but if you live a life to where you walk around and you have respect for yourself and you give respect to every situation that you in, meaning whatever they doing up in that environment, you be cool with. You don't go around trying to change it up. Just be respectful. Live like that. You know, certain neighborhoods you don't wear this. Other neighborhoods you don't wear that. That's part of being respect. That's how my dad raised me. And that's how I lived. My dad grew up on the streets of LA. He didn't move here from nowhere else. He was born here. And so since I walk like that, that's what I've always gotten in LA. I've got nothing but respect in the city. I've never been disrespected by anybody in LA. I hooped at Robertson Park a couple times. That makes sense, Dupreme. Oftentimes people do overdo it. Like in LA, I remember when that show Bangin' in Little Rock came out. Like that was like 93, 94. When we saw Bangin' in Little Rock, man, this when LA was popping. This when LA was really cracking. But when Bangin' in Little Rock came out, we was like, man, yo, these niggas is doing too much. LA niggas is like, oh God, I never. You be like, hold on, nigga. We're like, them Little Rock niggas is getting it in. LA niggas were impressed when Bangin' in Little Rock came out on HBO. We was impressed. What's up, Sinister? Yeah. And we just vibing up here, Sinister. Yeah, man. But that's why I like, man. That's why I don't like to put one city over the other. One thing that we got wrong in the 90s and in the 2000s that we need to change, we got to stop the black tribalism within foundational Black American culture. It's good. Like, I like to hear stories from Chicago niggas. You notice when Nino Black was telling me in Great Black Shark, when they were telling me things about Atlanta and Chicago, I didn't go around talking about, well, my city and trying to start a fight. You know why I didn't do that? Because I enjoy when people tell me about their city and you rep it proud. We got to know that we have a for real deal cultural exchange. The whole conversation today started out with one of y'all, I forgot which one of y'all asked me about the cultural exchange between Detroit and Oakland. That kicked off the conversation. These are the conversations I like having. Like, let's talk about where we from. But where we from ain't no better than where you from. The level of white supremacy I dealt with ain't no better than the level of white supremacy you dealt with. We all dealt with white supremacy. It just looked different in my city than it do to your city. And we as a people, we can do a lot better having these conversations. We can do a hell of a lot better if we had more of these type conversations and not fights and not arguments. We could talk about where we from without arguing. And like, we can still talk shit, like, cause I'm always gonna talk shit about loud ass New Yorkers. Like, how long can you talk to a New Yorker before you find out they from New York? Over under 20 seconds. I say far under. So I'm gonna talk shit about New Yorkers, but that's gonna be fun. But overall, nigga, just learn about where other people are from and express your city from your point of view without fighting this shit. Enough of that shit. Cause you see all these other people, these Jamaicans, and not all Jamaicans, but certain people from the Caribbean, certain people from Africa, not everyone, but enough of them. You see them trying to just basically amalgamate to the best of our culture. And if we fighting each other over New York creating this and Louisiana creating that, you opening the door for these people who ain't create shit to come swooping through, taking credit for all of it. See how that shit work? Yeah, the moon is beautiful. Yeah, a lot of New Yorkers not FBAs. Yeah, none of it really matters. Like nigga, I was so happy for Dallas today when Errol Spence won that fight. Like, I wish I was in Dallas. I wish I was in Dallas at that fight. Nigga, I was so happy for Dallas. I wasn't sitting here thinking like, man, LA needs somebody to go here. Man, no, fuck all that. Nigga, the boxing throne sits in Dallas, Texas right now. And that's dope. Because Dallas got its own energy that we need more authentic Dallas niggas to speak up and talk about. Like, you got people from countries with shit in the streets more proud of their city, talking loud like their city is anywhere as dope as Dallas. Like, nigga, I guarantee wherever you come from, Chimookwe and Beckway, nigga, wherever that is not doper than Dallas. So calm down. What's up, G Mars? Yeah. I want to go to Chicago. Like, I've been to Cleveland. Cleveland was rusty, man. Shit, Cleveland was rusty. I just remember a whole bunch of burnt down ass buildings. I went to Cleveland. To see LeBron James return to the Cavs for the first time as a member of the Miami Heat. That shit was funny as hell. I've told this story before on the channel, but when LeBron left, remember how he pissed off all the people in Cleveland? Man, I flew out to Cleveland to go to that game, and it was signs all around town. I look like a fucking angel with a halo over my head, don't I? Shit. How that look? Nigga, Dwan the fucking Saint Dwan, nigga. That's how I look right now. Saint Dwan. Well, anyway. I remember, what the fuck was I talking about? I went to Cleveland, and it was trucks, like, driving up and down through Cleveland saying LeBron's a fucking traitor. He's a liar. It was these shirts going around with, like, LeBron's face and with, like, a lion's mane around it, calling him the Lion King. And I've never experienced that much vitriol and hate. Like, I looked at LeBron like, man, you crazy for going back to Cleveland. I felt, nigga, the hate that they were expressing towards that man, I mean, guttural hate for LeBron. And I don't even like LeBron. Y'all know I don't even fuck LeBron, but fuck with LeBron like that. But I'm a basketball fan first. Nigga, I had the money, so I flew to fucking Cleveland and the connections. So I flew to fucking Cleveland to see that game. Nigga, I'm not gonna miss this part of history. I don't like this nigga's game, but I know history when I see it. And if I could be there, I'm gonna be there for that. Nigga, I went to a gas station and I paid with my debit card and I had to show my ID. And it was like LA, California. And the dude was like, "You from LA? Why would you be in Cleveland in the middle of winter?" Because the game was like December 9th, December 10th. Somewhere the first couple weeks of December. That's when the game happened. And so the dude was like, "Why are you in Cleveland in the winter when you live in paradise?" I was like, "I'm here to see LeBron come back and play against the Cavs." And he was like, "You going to that fucking game?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Well, I know you might not see him, but if when you go to that game night, if you see that motherfucker LeBron, tell him I said to go to hell." No lie. That's what the gas station attendant told me. He was like, "You tell that motherfucker to go to hell." I mean, everybody in that city had an opinion about this dude. And mind you, this 2010, 6 months prior, I was at the Lakers Game 7 victory over the Celtics. I had seats like on the 15th row. And so when you talk about the biggest energy I've ever felt in my life, it was the Lakers Game 7 win over the Celtics. Because, you know, Lakers, Celtics, biggest rivalry in sports. Kobe Bryant, Paul Pierce, LA on my birthday, December 10th, 2010. She was on my 29th birthday. I was in the stadium for that. So that was like some of the biggest energy I ever felt. But let me tell you something. That first quarter of the Cavs game, when they played against the Heat, when LeBron came back, that was probably the biggest energy I've ever felt in the stadium for one quarter, because the Heat started blowing them niggas out and the energy was over. But the pregame and the first quarter of that game, that energy was just as big as when the Lakers won Game 7 of the finals. Like, think about that for a second. That's how much bitterness was being rained down for about one quarter. The Lakers ended up the game itself for the Lakers Game 7, that was a bigger energy overall, because that Game 7 energy continued to build a crescendo throughout the game. Like, Staples Center was hella nervous the first quarter because Boston got that big lead in the first half. So the Game 7, Lakers versus Celtics, we never sat down. We stood up the whole game. We never sat down. Like never sat down. So the game itself had a bigger energy. But the first quarter of that Cavs Miami Heat game, that was probably the most concentrated amount of hate I've ever felt in one room at one time. And I was like, that shit kind of low-key felt uncomfortable, because I knew the hate was still based in racism. It was like, how could this nigger leave? And I remember being like, man. And this nigga went back to these motherfuckers after that? He must really want to be loved. Because the way they felt about LeBron that game, I ain't never felt been in the room with that much anger in my life. Yeah. This nigga Dallas. Man. Y'all still have wet and dry counties in Dallas? What's up, yeah, man? Y'all still have wet and dry counties in Texas? That's the dumbest shit ever. Wet and dry counties. Fuck that shit. All of California's wet. It's a liquor store on the corner I can walk to right now. Wet and dry counties. So the Garden feel like Record Park when Kobe was there. I was there when Kobe was at the Drew League. I was there when LeBron was at the Drew League. I was there when Kevin Durant was at the Drew League. I love the Drew League. I want to go to Rucker Park though one day. I do want to go to Rucker Park. I know it ain't cracking like it used to, but I still want to go because it's basketball and just watch. I love watching basketball. Yeah. I don't know why people act up. I don't ever be around people when they act up. I have a fairly calm energy. Things don't really act up when I'm around. Am I okay with the murder of Kobe Bryant? No, probably not. Can't bring him back. And if he was murdered, there's nothing I can do to prosecute those I assume did it. So I kind of rather keep my channel on things that could be more constructive. Now, if I had the power to punish the people who killed Kobe Bryant, then yeah, I would definitely do a documentary about it or talk about it. But since I have absolutely zero power to punish the people, and it won't bring back the great Bean Bryant, I'd rather do shows talking about the wisdom within Kobe Bryant's philosophy. I think I will do a show on that one day and pull up a bunch of snippets of interviews from Kobe that people forgot. And I think I'm put it on my Patreon channel because they don't let you, I don't want to get copyrighted on YouTube, so I put that on Patreon and break down the wisdom within Kobe Bryant's philosophy and how you can extract life game from his basketball philosophy. I think I will do a show with that because I can explain the triangle offense and how that works with relationships and life philosophy. That's a good idea. Thanks for that, though, because I think I'm going to do that. This nigga said Kobe was killed by a reckless Armenian pilot. Bismarck T, I'm not going to argue with you there, brother. I'm not going to argue with you there. He said he was killed by a reckless Armenian pilot. And it's funny, I drove by that. I drive by that hillside where Kobe died every time I go out to wine country. That's just right off the 101 and Las Virgenes Road. Las Virgenes gets you from the 101 to Malibu. It'll drop you off at Pepperdine University. I like driving that road. If you ever come to LA, and just want to like drive LA, a good drive is if you're in the valley, take the 101 to Las Virgenes, go across that ride that takes you from Las Virgenes to Malibu. It's a beautiful ride. And then take a ride down PCH. Do that shit if you ever come to LA in the summertime. Let's see. Armenian pilot was chasing the bag. Yeah. Yeah. Fort Trey. Yeah, PCH is a good drive. Yeah. Big Sur is nice. Yeah, I did Me and the wife did that big surge drive a couple of years ago. No, we did it last year. Last year, we went to Big Sur right after it opened back up, and then we stayed. Sometimes we stay in this place up in this city called Cambridge, California. It's about 4 hours north of LA, right by Hearst Castle. And it's this hotel. You stay right there at Moonstone Beach, and I get a hotel right there on the beach, overlooking the water. And I went there last year. Nigga, I had the shroom trip of my life sitting on that balcony. It was like 90 degrees, the waves coming, and I was on like 7 grams of mushrooms. That was one of the best days of my life. Yeah, roast commentary for basketball does need to happen. Yeah. But I'm about to get out of here. I'm 2 blunts in. Shrooms are hard to find out there. Well, they're easy to find out here. But I'll holler at y'all.